greatest tournament in chess history, category 18, and all the leading chess masters or grandmasters were participating there, and I think that this tournament really was a fighting tournament. So many games with the result, no draws, and as you know, the organizer of this tournament, he hates the draws. Even fighting draws he hates.
That's Luis Rentero, right?
Yes, Luis Rentero, yes.
I understand some players actually have in their contracts that they don't get paid if they make a short game?
No. This is other way around. He pays extra starting fee if you don't make draws, short draws, and if you promise you fight a full game.
Okay, so now before the tournament, Garry Kasparov made some comment. Garry, of course, won the tournament the last 2 years, right? With very good scores, okay? And so he made a comment, since you had so many of the world's best players, that whoever won this should be world tournament champion, I believe, is what he said, something like this.
Yes, this year and previous year. But previous year we were fighting for the first place, and even 2 rounds before the end we had the same number of points. And then I had white pieces, and then I wanted to get a lead, and I took risks too much. Then I lost the game, and then Kasparov won the tournament. But this year I was leading from the first round till the last one. I won 6 games in a row, and this was a game from round 7.
Round 7. So at this point, when you played Garry this time, you had black, but you also had a lead in the tournament.
That's right.
So for this situation, you felt that Caro-Kann was the appropriate defense.
But last games with him, I played Caro-Kann always, so there was no reason to change.
Okay, so after d4, d5. He plays the most standard way for white, with knight to d2.
Right, pawn takes.
Knight takes.
Knight takes, and then knight d7, and then this is...
Okay. Now, the other games we saw were with knight to g5, your game with Gadakamsky, and knight to f3, like you played against Hort.
That's right.
And Garry plays bishop c4.
So this is the most known and the oldest line for white. Knight g to f6, knight g5, e6, queen to e2. And it's well known since match for the world title between Tal and Botvinnik, 1960-61, 2 matches they played. So black plays knight to b6, bishop d3. Of course, this pawn is poisoned.
Okay, bishop d3 was a continuation in your games with Jan Timman from the FIDE World Championship, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and now Garry instead plays the other variation, and the other alternative is bishop to b3, right?
That's right. And also you can take pawn on d4, because if queen
takes d4,
then white has tempo with knight to f3.
Let's say the queen goes back, or where else would the queen go? Let's say queen back home.
Then knight e5, and there is no protection for f7 pawn.
Okay, but of course that's a very basic trap. You didn't play queen takes d4 against Garry, right?
Of course not. Of course not. So this moment, h6 is necessary move, just to bring this knight back. Knight comes to f3.
And now you played an interesting move. a5. Can you tell us a little of the history about this move?
Yeah, this move is very important, because when you don't play a5, the main idea of white is just to have attack on the king's side, and normally black has short castle, and then bishop is very strong here, and this bishop is always threatening to take the pawn on h6, and then you have g4, h4, very active position. And in most variations, white just makes a long castle. a5 is fighting against the idea with long castle, because black is threatening to trap bishop on b3, and now there are 3 main variations: a4, c3, and a3. But what I wanted to say that a4, there was a famous game between Tal and Petrosyan. Petrosyan won this game, I think, in 20 moves. As black played c5, and then this was the line, bishop f4. And then white made long castle, and that moment black played c4, bishop took on c4, and knight took on a4. And then white position just collapsed. And that's why white started to play more carefully. And c3 is a nice idea, just to protect pawn on d4 and yes, to have this
bishop to come.
To have this possibility with bishop on c2.
Mm-hmm.
So c5 now.
Okay, but now Gary decided he wanted to play both, and he played a3. And Yasser Sarwan annotating gives us a question mark. Why does Gary play a3 here?
No, a3 is important because if you develop this bishop, then a4, a3 could be quite dangerous, and then white has problems with c3. For instance, if you play bishop f4, then this variation is quite possible. Then you play a3, and then b3 is the only move, and then black has another temp with bishop on f4, and then you have to come back with the bishop. So this is not so nice for white. That's why after c5, Kasparov played a3.
And what's your opinion of a3? You think it's necessary for white to play a3?
So this is not bad. This is not bad, and Kasparov played already this line against English Grandmaster Jonathan Spielman. Spielman played immediately a4, bishop c2, and then Spielman played a3.
That game ended in a draw?
Yes, but white had better position, and then it was complicated, and then it was draw at the end.
So probably Gary was hoping to repeat that against you, and get similar type position.
Yes, maybe. But of course c5 is improvement, and clear improvement, c5. Then what c5, a3,
so you played
and
queen
then
c7?
Queen c7. So I just keep this possibility, a4 or c4, and not in all positions I need pawn on a4.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I just will have opportunity later on to play b5 and b4.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to make clear what I want to do on the queen side.
I see. So now Gary went straight ahead with knight to e5, but he has to do something to get the other knight out.
Yes, it's not clear what to do, because if you play bishop to e3, then knight goes to d5, and then bishop is attacked, and so black has
good activity.
Yes, sufficient position.
Mm-hmm. So Gary played knight here, and I guess Gary wants to just continue bringing the other knight out, castling, and still hoping for some attack on the king side.
Yes, Kasparov played at once knight e5, so it means that he analyzed this position at home. And so I took on d4, pawn took on d4, and then black played a4 now. Instead of a4, it was very funny tactical possibility. Bishop takes a3.
Now, of course, at first this looks incomprehensible, because not only can the rook take, but the pawn can take.
Yes.
So how does this tactic work?
So, of course, this pawn is well protected, and
so first rook takes doesn't work, right?
Yes. Then queen takes
then
c1.
Queen takes bishop here. Okay.
And it's quite clear.
This is quite good for you. Okay. So if pawn takes, then what happens?
Then queen gives check on c3, and this is fork.
And king and rook.
And king and rook.
Okay. However, you didn't play bishop takes a3 in the game.
I didn't play bishop take a3, and the funny thing was that in the press center, nobody saw bishop takes a3. I think only Lyubomir Lyubovich mentioned this possibility. But the first one who discovered this was Fritz, the computer program. And so it showed immediately, bishop takes a3 and black is better.
Now, of course, with the computer, if you're winning a pawn, you're better.
Yes, but this is not so clear, because after bishop takes a3, bishop takes h6. And then bishop takes b2.
So now you would call this desperados, right? Where once a piece is on pre, then you put another piece on pre.
Yes. Of course, if white takes on g7, then white is in bad shape. because bishop takes and then queen c1 check is threat, queen c3 check is threat. But white just recaptures bishop on b2, and then rook takes h6 only move, and then knight g1 to f3, and it's not clear how to get back this rook into the play, and so white has possibility of castle, and then rook c1, so there is pressure over a black position. And
continued, instead of playing bishop takes a3, you continued with a4.
Yes, I played a4.
This is just continuing more in a strategical main.
And I was thinking here for a long time, because it was not clear for me just to play a4 or to keep this again as a possibility. But then I decided e4, this is the moment for a4.
So he
Bishop
has a choice.
c2.
He went this way with the bishop.
No, there is no choice, because after bishop a2, bishop takes a3 is working already.
Now it's just simple.
Yes, now it's much better, because if he takes there, I just recapture, and it is not possible to take with the pawn because of check. Yes.
Okay. So he has no choice actually.
No choice.
He simply has to come back with the bishop.
Then bishop d7.
Now here he gave up his knight for your bishop.
Yes, I was a little bit surprised. So
perhaps he should just continue and develop his knight? But he's worried about your rook coming to c8.
He was worried, yes. He was worried about rook c8, and then two bishops again.
And we see after rook c8, this line. Yes.
Because if you play now bishop to d3, then queen takes c1 check, rook takes check, king d2 only move, and then rook takes rook. So black is winning. And maybe after rook c8, he had to play bishop d1, which is of course not dream he would have at home when he analyzed this position. So that's why he took on d7. I recaptured with knight, I believe.
This clears out the knight and allows for your b pawn to advance and leaves the other knight to come to d5, right?
And also I keep eye on f4. I don't allow bishop f4. See, queen is on c7.
Okay, now
and
here
he played very funny.
He played queen d1.
Yes.
But this seems a little strange.
No, but still, if knight f3, then what is possible?
Rook c8 is possible?
Must play bishop to d1, which is again
we'll just
so
show
nice.
that if bishop takes a4, now the pawn is still indirectly defended because of double attack.
Yes, that's right.
So this is very important. So then he would have to play bishop back to d1, which again is very passive, right?
All right.
So instead, though, he played queen d1, right?
Queen to d1, yes.
But did this move surprise you?
Yes, this is funny, that white has to play back with the queen, and but of course positionally this is not so bad, because knight comes to e2 and then to c3 to attack these pawns. By chance, this is not so bad as it should be.
So actually, this is double-edged, because the pawn cramps him, but it can also become very exposed and can become a liability if you're not careful.
That's right. That's right. Pawn on a4. That's why I was trying to say always at the beginning that this is not so easy to decide to push pawn on a4 or just to keep it on a5.
The pawn is the one piece that once you push it, you can't push it back.
Yes, never. This is a general rule.
So now you continued your development with bishop d6.
Yes, bishop d6. And probably it was not the most accurate way. I think I could play better. I could play b5.
Just immediately.
Yes, I wanted to keep this possibility, but then probably I needed to play first knight b6 or knight d5. After b5, then another knight on f6 on b6, and only after this to develop bishop. Because when I played bishop d6, I was not in time.
So you're saying you should have gone ahead and consolidated your grip on the queen side, and then...
Yes, just to block the position with b5, knight d5, knight f6, just to put solid pressure, positional pressure, and then to develop bishop.
Okay. So now he played knight e2.
Knight e2, and then...
And here you played knight to d5, preparing to meet him.
Yes, otherwise he is threatening knight c3, and then I'm in trouble.
Taking
yes.
this one.
Yes, so I have to play knight to d5. And then he played
bishop to d2.
Only move. Now pawn is
actually threatened.
Yes.
Before you always had queen a5 check.
That's
now
right.
bishop d2 stops your check.
And then I have to play b5. Then he played knight to c3. And what I was trying to tell, that instead of bishop d6, I could have knight on f6.
And then in this position, you simply could play rook over or
and
queen
in this
here
position,
and
I just could defend the pawn. No, maybe with queen first. Queen c6. Just keeping pressure and pawn on g2, which was not so good for white. I had this threat. But now I have no time for this. And so I had to take on c3.
And he took with the bishop?
He took with the bishop.
And that threatens d5 to open.
Yes, to open everything. So I had to play knight to f6. So d5 now doesn't work because knight takes on d5. Bishop takes pawn, and then rook g8.
Okay, so now he went ahead and went after your weak pawn with queen to d3. Okay.
Yes, queen to d3. Now d5 probably a threat.
Now, according to the press reports I read, this was a moment of big excitement in the press room. They were wondering how you're going to handle this because your pawn is under attack. And if you castle, then of course Gary loves to have two bishops aimed at your king, and then he might play pawn to d5 and try to attack you.
Yes.
So this is another exciting moment here.
Now, of course I could play queen c6. But then white could make a castle because pawn is not attacked anymore. And then it's difficult for black to make a next move, because if you just bring knight to d5, then it's very difficult to castle. And white just could play rook to c1 and then bishop d1, bishop f3. But of course, I had in mind another idea.
So this is very much like your game with Kamsky now.
Yes. Yes,
right here in the middle of everything, you move the last piece that we would expect.
Yes, he is attacking pawn. Just there is threat to take pawn with a check.
With check.
Yes, which is important. But then black doesn't pay attention. Knight d5. This is the most strong. So I keep control in the center. And if queen takes on b5 check, I play again knight king e7. Like game with Kamsky you mentioned, and then there is no danger for black.
And now, actually, you would get a very powerful counterattack with the rook coming over, and you have everything.
To b8 or c8, two bishops, still two bishops on c file. And so after this, Kasparov started to be in big trouble, and
he decided to save his bishop.
Yes.
After all, the only thing white has is the two bishops in this position.
Yes. So bishop d2 was the only move. And then, again, I don't need castle. I just play king e7.
Okay, so now he tries to contest you on the c file with rook c1.
Rook c1. And then I played queen to c4.
Now here you offer the exchange of queens.
Yes, this is very important, because if I would play rook to c8, then Kasparov could play bishop to d1. Of course, there is possibility to sacrifice queen for rook and bishop, but this is not very clear. Black cannot lose, but probably black cannot win. That's why I wanted to keep.
So you wanted to keep the pressure on him.
Yes, queen to c4. And then I think now Kasparov made mistake. He played king to e2 instead of playing g3 immediately. After which black had pressure, but it was not clear how to win the game. And so after long thinking, Kasparov played king to e2. Of course, he doesn't want to make castle because of coming ending. He wants to have his king in the center, closer to weak pawns on the queen side. And so he played king e2, just having in mind probably the same idea I had. This was just bishop takes f4, rook d1, and then I could play rook d8. This is almost winning. I played rook h to b8.
So you played rook h b8 immediately?
Yes. And then Kasparov found a nice way how to almost defend the position, or no, it was g3.
Okay. And now you went ahead and exchanged queens.
Yes, I took. He took with the bishop, b4, and then after rook a1. Only theoretical advantage. I had to exchange on a3.
So you played b takes a3.
Pawn takes a3, rook b3.
And rook b3. So now you actually win a pawn.
Yes. So just few moves. Bishop c2 only move. I take on a3, rook, bishop, rook a1.
So now he regains the pawn on a4, but you still come out one pawn ahead.
Yes,
right?
he is losing this pawn.
So
but
here
it's
he
not
took this one, you exchanged, he took here, and you took here. Okay.
And then f4 is important. So on other level, probably black could win, but on the level of Kasparov, it's not possible to win such position.
And
it was draw just in maybe 10 moves.
Uh-huh. And so this game was actually a credit to both players. Very hard struggle, but it also shows the viability of the Caro-Kann defense.
Yes, again we could see absolutely new ideas in this game.